was like, wow, that really touched me to the heart. Because now I'm a citizen. Too bad I couldn't vote. But, but there's 2020, so hopefully that's for the best. But yeah, that was a very nice memory. Me and my friends, they had to drive because I couldn't drive. You know, they were my Uber. I had to pay for their food and gas and everything. But you know, money aside, man, as a Terry major, that really hurts me. You know, spending money just to get my citizenship. You know, when they gave me that certificate, they were like, if you rip this is $700. I had to pay $800 just to be a citizen, and now you're giving me a certificate wherever. Rip it. I have to pay $700 a month, but just saying. And the best part was when I was in the swearing-in ceremony, the video was Donald Trump giving that message. All I could think back was, dang, why couldn't it be Obama? But, you know,
oh my gosh.
But, you know, speaking from political, I was thinking, because I was just a year late, or 2 years late, yeah. I'm still thankful. Yeah, thank you.
Great job. I think all of our speakers were on time.
Yep.
Perfect. That's what I love. I'm really thankful when everyone's on time because then I don't have to raise anyone's name and I don't feel bad for it and stuff like that.
You
But
can
overall,
someone's name if they're not on time?
that's what I do. Yeah.
We can raise time.
But everyone's on time. Even you, Nadia. Even you.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Don't worry about it.
Explain yourself.
It's all right. No, I don't have enough time. So we have 10 speakers today. I wrote the names down. I'm going to go quickly through these. Ben talked about his 4 people from the past. Cheryl talked about renaming Black Friday. Onur talked about what he's not thankful for. Jalen talked about his ideal Thanksgiving feast. Claudia talked about Kanye Day. Serena talked about what she's thankful for. Zach talked about the origin story of Thanksgiving. Nadia talked about moving Thanksgiving to May. Tyler Burnett, or just Tyler, talked about the turkey shortage. And Jian, his favorite Thanksgiving memory, becoming American citizen. So please make sure to pick one of those individuals for Best TableTopic Speaker. First and second. If the individual who is listed as first gets 2 points, the individual listed as second gets 1 point. At the end of the day, we can choose who's the best speaker or best TableTopic speaker based off of that. Cool. Make sure to pass them down to the middle. I'll give you all 30 seconds to fill that out. And make sure to also fill out feedback for TableTopics Master, which is my role for today. Cool. Yeah. August. That's my birthday month. Or February. That's my half birthday.
She has the right to choose.
Yeah, this meeting
No, it's not my duty to inform you.
It's literally risky. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, wait.
I bet your wallet is only $40.
Oh my gosh. $40.
Hey, after mail and briefing, okay.
$40.
And I'm going to introduce our Toastmaster of the day. Back to the stage, Adanna. Thank you.
That was awesome tabletop. In the spirit of Thanksgiving, definitely. Okay, so we are going to move on to our evaluation section. This is where the evaluators are going to evaluate the speeches that you guys just saw. Not the table topics, but the speeches that we had in the beginning. I would like to introduce our general evaluator, Tricia.
Hi everybody, as Adanna said, my name is Tricia Perez, and as the general evaluator, we do have the speeches in the first third of the meeting, but it's, as much as I'd like to call everyone's speeches perfect, each person does have room for improvement, and so that's what this section is about, learning where we can improve so that next time when we do make a speech or when it's our turn to speak, we know what things to keep in mind. And so with that, I would like to call our first evaluator, Haley.
question. How much time do I actually have for an evaluator speech?
2 to 3.
Okay. Because when I did yours last time, the red card came up out of nowhere, and I was like, I don't know how much time I have. Okay, good to know. All right, so I was evaluating Jian, is that? Excellent. I was evaluating Jian for his first icebreaker speech. That was what the thing said. I promise I know what's going on. All right, so you had a really fun, kind of honest opening, and I think that was a really good job sort of building rapport with your audience, even if it wasn't entirely, you know, super scripted and prepared. And I think that was really nice. You were honest with us, and it made us chuckle, and we trusted you more. You had a really good use of looking around and, at the very least, feigning eye contact with your audience. I didn't know if you were actually looking at somebody, but it looked like you were, and that's part of a good speech. Your format, whether or not you intended it to be so, had sort of a stand-up comedian feel where it was a bunch of one-liners. You were over here, and then you were over here, and just a couple of very dry, witty jokes in a semi-self-deprecating manner, which were actually quite a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it. You did use so a lot, and I just used But that was really the filler word that I noticed. I'm sure she'll tell you what you did otherwise. You kept mostly to one spot. You had your cards and you were moving a little bit, and there was some gesture involved, and again, looking up, looking around was really good. But you were mostly one spot, feet in place, and try to do just a little bit more movement. I know we sort of harp on this a lot, is as you come to a different point, move to a different spot. So in your, this is my new card, you can think, okay, I'm over here, I'm talking to these people now about this topic. It may not have been an awe-inspiring speech, right? It wasn't anything like, go sell things now, or be your best self and go get informed. But it was a fun speech, and it was an icebreaker, and I do feel like I got to know you a little bit better through your speech. So I would say on terms of what you were trying to accomplish, I think you accomplished that. I feel like I got to know you a little bit better, and given your speech was titled Me, I think that's appropriate. Excellent. Thank you.
And now we will have our second evaluator, Kyle, who will be evaluating Tyler Burnett.
Tyler, I thought you gave an excellent presentation of what the sales process looks like, and you clearly laid out what each step was going to be in your methods. I think overall you did a good job of connecting with Tyler. I will say though, you repeatedly asked him, you heard that he was an Atlanta United fan. You heard that he was the president of Toastmasters. I think going into a sale, going into a transaction, a business transaction, a lot of times it's going to be impromptu, kind of like a TableTopics, where you're not going to know that information, you're not going to have overheard some things, and also, to somebody else's point, if you're hearing all these things, it might be a little creepy, from the perspective of the customer. But I do think you used what you knew about the customer previously, and you used it to your advantage. So if that is the situation where you know what the buyer is interested in, that is definitely something that you should take advantage of. And I think that once you were able to connect with Tyler, you were able to use that to follow up and further probe and find out what else is, what other interests he may have, and then why he may need a watch, which is because he's active. The one thing I will say though is that if you are selling a product, I think that you should ultimately know, the ins and the outs of the product. And so not knowing of the watch's origin is a little bit of a red flag. And again, I don't know where this watch is made, but I'm wearing it and I bought it, so I don't have to know where it was made. Whereas you're selling it, and I think it's advantageous to you to know, what the watch is called, the model, what the specific value adds are of the watch to Tyler. Going forward, though, I do think that you showed how the watch would add value to Tyler's life and how it would help him in the business world, given that he's going out and graduating shortly. I think that you did a good job of continuing to offer Tyler the 10 days of wearing the watch for free. And the one thing I would say with that is that's a classic sales technique of offering, a free incentive. But if he's not immediately jumping at that, I would further add more incentives. And, obviously you may not be at liberty to do so. It might be you might be at the mercy of your boss, but if there's anything that you can add to him, offer him, such as buying him lunch, whatever it may be, to get that sale, I think it's important. But I do think, I really liked how you maintained your genuineness or genuity or whatever we decided the word was, because I think that's important in a sale. You know, you said that it's imperative to get the return sale, and I think that's ultimately true, is you're not looking for the one-time sale, you're looking for a repetitive buyer. All in all, I thought it was a great, I guess, informative speech and great workshop. So, good job.
And lastly, we will have Tyler Jian, who will be evaluating Nadia Galaka's speech.
All right, Nadia, this is your icebreaker. And right off the bat, you did really well getting everyone's attention. You asked the question, who likes Chick-fil-A? Everyone's like, man, I love Chick-fil-A. And then right after that, you asked the question, do you like their homophobia though? And then the entire crowd went dead silent. And then I was like, oh, it's about to get real. And then you just went straight in and attack. I was like, oh my. And you got everyone's attention straight off the bat, so that was really good. One thing I would like to say though about that is that you have a lot of passion, and that's really good. And it's good to have passion when you're up there, because then it'll draw people's attention and it'll show that you really have this heart and enthusiasm towards the topic you're talking about. But if you went on the entire time, and I saw that throughout the entire speech, you had this passion that was going on and on, I was like, oh, this is a little overwhelming at times. And then there were some times when I looked around, everyone just sort of like, a little uneasy. So it was a really good introduction, and I liked the passion. It's just like control it a little bit, because then you'll have the crowd feeling a little bit more comfortable, and then they'll lead into more of your ideas. Additionally, I want to mention, when you do bring up certain words such as like homophobia, that's okay, but you don't want to bring it up and then just build off of it and then just keep going on and on, because then more people will feel a little bit uneasy. So I think that's the main reason why people got a little silent. Moving on to the example, I really like the example that you had from Sci-Li, because having that example for your abstract ideas, that really helped me wrap around the idea of we live in an information world, we can use that to our advantage to fact check ourselves. And having a fact check for ourselves is something usually people don't think about. And bring up this political idea, it kind of got everyone else thinking, because during TableTopics, everyone, or I would say a third of the people brought up some political idea. And I was like, oh, Nadia definitely got to them and started helping them think. And I feel like when you brought up the idea of we live in an information age, that is something you should start with instead. Because having that as an object everyone can wrap their heads around, it's like, oh yeah, we are in an object age. I'm always around my phone, around a computer. And then making it simple for them to say, hey, just Google something. And also mentioning what to Google. Because some people put things on the internet, on Reddit, things like that. It's like, all right, that is clearly not right, but there's just a lot of people out there just upvoting it. And then some people might read that and be like, you know what, that might be the right answer. So you can also mention things such as those to watch out for. Just like little simple things. Because then it'll help everyone around to understand not only just one side of you need a fact check, but also to understand the dangers of doing so. Overall, I like the conclusion because you brought up the information page, and then that helped everyone to think. And also for your first speech, no notes, just straight passion right up here, that was excellent. So I'm excited to hear what you have for next. Thank you.
And before I call in the reports, I will be giving a general evaluation of the entire meeting. So I know we started a little bit late, Adanna, but that's understandable. We were waiting for a last speaker, but we did eventually start, and rolling with the punches. I thought it was a very great characteristic as a Toastmasters meeting. There was a little bit in the beginning. I don't know if it was just trying to adjust to the role, but after the first speech, we just want to be aware to give people time to fill out their ballots, giving like 15 seconds, 30 seconds. And so that's just something to keep in mind. And also as a reminder, if you do come to the meeting a little bit late, see if you can like wait for the applause and then after you hear the applause, then come enter the room so that we don't distract any of the speakers up here. But Adanna, nice job rolling with the punches and bringing the meeting all together. Bhanodai, great job. When you first came up to you continued even though it's not necessarily your role to keep the transitions, you did start off with your own experience, and that gave people a little bit more time to fill out their ballots. Very creative were the questions, rolling around the theme of Thanksgiving, something I didn't think of, so that was really cool. And also, it really helped, even though you wrote down the different speakers who came up, it did help to have a bit of a recap of what each person talked about. For the evaluators, all three of you, I liked your evaluations because you gave specific advice to the speaker and in the ways that they could improve on. Because the goal of evaluations isn't to put someone down, but rather to build on what someone already has in their skills and point out the little things that they can improve on, so that they can improve on in their own way, rather than making like a cookie cutter, like having everyone be one cookie cutter speaker. So Haley, you pointed out, like even though like Jian was a little bit unprepared, you did bring it into a positive note and tie it in together there. Kyle, since Tyler did have a strong presentation, so you did give some specific advice in terms of like the information and material provided. And Tyler, you did point out Nadia's passion, which I also noticed, but also pointing out like just some ways just to be wary. Overall, good job from me. Thank you to everyone for coming out in the cold rainy weather. And with that, I would like to call the grammarian for the meeting. Is that on order?
Hi, good job overall. So to start off with, first speech was Jian. Yeah. So overall, really good. I noticed you used the word so a lot, and that led to run-on, so watch out for that. But other than that, everything else was good. Second speaker was Tyler. I didn't notice anything. Great work. After that, we had Nadia. Great work. Didn't pick up anything. I was out for like half of TableTopics, so good job. I didn't catch anything. For our evaluators, Haley, I caught one like nitpicky thing. You said on terms of instead of in terms of. That's it. Everything else was just great. Yeah. And good job all around.
And can we have our on-comment for the meeting, Serena?
Great, so try to use Haley's technique. For effective, I would recommend what she basically did, if you guys missed the last meeting, she wrote down what filler people use and then started making topics. So for Adanna, you had one so, one one Jian, you had 4 3 so's, 3 likes, 3 but yeahs, 1 and 1 and so. Tyler, you had 3 and so's and 1 Nadia, you had 1 like and 1 and. And when I mean and, like you use and at the beginning of the sentence. Bhanodai, you had 1 like. Ben, you had 1 Cheryl, you had 5 1 so yeah. Lenore, I didn't catch any, or I wasn't paying attention. Jalen, you had 1 2 ands. Claudia, you had 3 7 likes. Zach, same thing, I wasn't really paying attention, or you just were really good. Nadia, you had 4 likes. Tyler Burnett, 1 okay so. Jian, 1 1 you know, 2 yes. Haley, 2 Kyle, 7 uhs and 5 and 2 u's. Tyler Chan, you had 1 1 and Tricia, you had 20 and 3 uhs.
Thank you, Serena. And finally, Zach, we're all our evaluators on time.
Yes.
So with that, I'd like to transition. On the ballot, you can find one for best evaluator. So vote for who you thought was the best evaluator and put it to the bin. And while you're doing that, I'd like to call back to the stage Adanna.
We had an amazing meeting. Thank you for coming. I would like to bring back our president, esteemed president, Tyler Chan. Let's go.
Another hand to Adanna and also to Tricia. These are their first time doing these 2 big roles, so this is a big deal. Another round of applause for them. Before we conclude, I have a few announcements to make, and also some
This is such a great topic.
Alright, so stop. As always, our meetings are on social media, on YouTube, with GoPro. Nora's in the process of uploading all of our videos onto YouTube. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, GroupMe, and also speaking of the GroupMe,